So, ladies and gentlemen, it is 4 p.m. sharp here in Munich, Germany, and we will, of course, start on time because we all know how busy you are. Some of you are ending your day, some of you are starting. So from my side, a warm welcome to our very first product webinar from Clock PMS Plus. We are all super excited and very thrilled that you took the time to join us today. The general idea is to give you all a better insight and understanding towards the new features which we have launched in May and June. Also to provide you with an insight of our approach and the direction we are going and what benefits these features will actually bring to not only your guests, but also to your staff members and generally the hotel operations. So beforehand, of course, we would also like to introduce ourselves so that you also know who's standing firstly behind Clock PMS and who's speaking with you today. So my name is Oliver Hartmann, or Ollie, as my fellow colleagues, friends, and also partners call me. I represent Clock Software in the German-speaking region and will be doing the moderation today, together with my dear colleagues Dragomir and Elia, who will be showcasing how the features work in our PMS solutions. So guys, if you would just like to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, hello from me, and good afternoon and good morning, wherever you're based in. So we'll be guiding you through some of the agenda topics today, and yeah, we'll be glad to show you what we've done in the recent months.
A warm welcome from myself as well. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully this would be an interesting and educational webinar for you to get a bit more knowledge on how to utilize Clock and the latest updates.
Great, thank you so much guys for introducing yourselves. I'm also very happy to have you here so that I don't completely embarrass myself when it comes to the technical features. So very, very happy that you're here to showcase everything. So moving forward, before we actually start with the actual agenda, we do have a Q&A session at the end of this webinar. So those of you who are familiar with the whole Zoom tool, you do have a Q&A kind of question box within your Zoom meeting screen. We would kindly ask you to use this feature to state any questions you have. And we do also ask for your understanding as we are talking about specific new features which have been released in May and June. If you can please kind of link and adapt your questions based on the features we are talking about today. Also, if these questions can be kept a bit more general, as we will not be able to go into much detail if it is concerning property related questions, as all businesses can of course differ to a certain extent. We will also be answering a few questions during the actual webinar itself when my colleagues are going ahead with their showcasing how the features work. And of course, we do have limited time, so those questions that won't be asked, please rest assured, we will of course follow up with you after the webinar. So in this sense, we thank you for your support and your understanding. So moving forward to the agenda. So these are the topics we will be discussing today. I'm pretty sure, especially from our existing clients and partners, you have for sure, or most likely already read the product updates and already kind of familiarized yourselves with the new features we have. We have selected the main, most relevant, biggest updates that have been released, and these topics is what we'll be going through step by step. And then we will jump right into the first topic concerning the agent and company rates and their improved functionality for the web reservation system. Just to give you a better idea of the approach, so at the end of the day, we have now with the whole company login, we're more or less going to the direction of implementing a kind of a corporate booking tool. So for those hotels or those clients, a few of you are most definitely working with your corporate rates. So you have your local corporate partners. And also here, coming also from the corporate hospitality industry, I am very aware of how these corporate booking tools need to work. So we're talking about a centralized process, also giving not only your own hotel, but also your corporate partner, the direct or indirect savings if he doesn't need to involve a third party, giving you as a hotel the chance to offer your LCRs, your local corporate partners at rates, a direct booking possibility where you're also able to comply to their individual travel policies. And at the end of the day, it is easier for you as a hotel if you want to collect the data and do the respective analysis. So to summarize that, at the end of the day, we're just talking about knowing your partners and reacting to their needs. And I will gladly give over to my colleague Dragomir, who will showcase how this new feature works in our PMS solution.
So thank you, Oli, for this elaboration on the business cases. What we've done is we implemented a currently existing feature and we upgraded it. It's called the rate tags. Many of you are familiar. You can set rates into your, you can set rate tags into the rates of Clock PMS. So currently this rate tag is called BOSCH. So this is our company rate that company rate tag that we're going to be using. The previous functionality allowed you to link company rates one by one under a specific company. Now, what we have also added is the option to add a rate tag under the company. This will allow you to add multiple rates or, remove multiple rates from a specific company by just adding or removing the respective rate tag. We have also kept the other functionality, which allows you to add rate tags one by one. So this is also kept. In addition to this, we have also added a rates validity date. This is accessed from the edit screen of the company. We have a rates validity date field. This is to address the needs of certain contract expiration dates, where if you have more than one contract and more than one expiry date, we recommend you putting in the latest date and then controlling the other rates either via the tags or by the stop restrictions. So in addition to this, we have also improved what Oli mentioned as a corporate booking tool. We have added the option for companies to book their related rates through the web reservation system. And then you can decide if this company profile will take the role of a company or an agent in the booking. So upon setting an access code in the company profile into the settings under the web reservation system settings, you will have a special field appear in your web reservation system under the bonus code. So I would enter my desired period of stay, and then I will be able to see the contracted rate for that company. So this will allow you to keep track of company bookings and allow companies to book directly instead of how it previously worked. So back to you on this one, Oli.
Great, thank you so much, Dragomir. So I'm also very excited about this new feature, and I hope that a lot of you will also have a look at the product update and also give it a shot. But moving forward to one of our next features, so this will be a combined slide with the whole online guest services in coherence with the whole updated online check-in. As many of you know, we do have our guest mailer functionality, which can be used for sending out the customized mailings for the pre, post day, or also for the in-house bookings. What we have done here is basically just implemented a very convenient, very accessible feature, making this whole process a bit more flexible, where you can also focus to a higher extent on the pre-arrival engagement. So the general idea here is, of course, it's all about improving the customer relationship and using such tools and the deep links to also showcase your brand. Because just to emphasize it, is especially that these tools for the guest mailer, or also when it comes to the online check-in self-service portal, these are the possibilities that you have to showcase your brand, even if the reservation is coming from an OTA channel. So it's a feature which you can always use to kind of, forward the guest to your own hospitality brand. And then it's all about recognizing this other specific source of revenue, because with such mailings and everything, you can of course initiate the whole upsell and cross-selling process. And when we go to the updated online check-in, so we can just move forward to the next slide. Also here, it is about initiating the guest experience in advance. So I always kind of try to put it like as the time saved versus the overall experience. But at the end of the day, I would say the time saved maybe in apostrophes, because sometimes it is just being shifted. So it's more about balancing the staff workload. And if you have guests who are able to use such an online check-in feature and do their upselling, so it's all the self-service, which just for the record doesn't mean lack of service. It's like I mentioned here, just setting the service priorities right. If a guest arrives at your hotel and it'll be more stress-free because he has already proceeded with everything that he needs. He has managed his bookings. He has purchased maybe what he wants as an extra. And at the time he arrives at the reception, he would actually be more open and more relaxed to interact with the staff members at the reception, listen to maybe additional offers he missed, and then actually go ahead and purchase an upgrade to a higher room type, or so on and so forth. So here we're just talking about the upsell and revenue opportunities, making it accessible, flexible, and very convenient for your staff members, but also for the guests arriving. And then I will gladly pass on to my colleague Elia, who will just showcase the feature in Clock PMS.
Thank you, Oli, and welcome to everyone again. So with the current COVID-19 situation, three things have been very much amplified, and three needs have been amplified. Those are communication, accessibility, and convenience. What we have done with our latest updates is that we have focused into improving those three key points. And starting with the communication part. Obviously now communication before the arrival of the guest is much more important. So what we have done is we have created the so-called deep links in Clock PMS. So the deep links essentially direct the guest to a very specific section of the self-service portal. So for example, here we have a deep link that can take the guest to the housekeeping requests, or it can take the guest to the section where they can complete their registration cards. So this way now, instead of the guests being directed to the self-service portal and then having to navigate and find the section that they need, you can actually directly navigate the guest using the respective placeholders to that section directly. So this way you're saving time for the guest and also make things much more streamlined. Furthermore, another thing that we've changed and implemented is that we made these deep links unique to each reservation, and they are also secure. So what does this mean? The guests do not need any longer to basically use their name, booking number, or PIN code to access the self-service portal. Essentially, whenever they click on the link for the self-service portal or the deep link, they'll be directed immediately to the self-service portal, skipping the part of the login. Now, still we are keeping the PIN functionality in the system. And that is for those of you who use the, let's say, the physical kiosks or the public self-service login on your website homepage. So there, the PIN code is still going to be needed. So that is why we have still kept that piece of function in the self-service portal. Another thing that we have implemented is the natural step into combining the self-service portal and the online check-in. Now, before moving forward, something that I would like to mention is that now here we'll focus a lot on the online check-in or virtual kiosk functionality. So that is an additional add-on in Clock PMS. So if any of you do not have it, please feel free to contact our sales team or your sales representative so that you can get that enabled for your property, because obviously now online check-in, pre-check-in is very, very important, either due to local regulations or just guests searching for such a option from when browsing for various hotels and when deciding where to stay. So also in the guest mailer, we have included also a direct link to the online check-in. So you have it here, the self-service portal online check-in URL. So this way, you can basically send pre-arrival emails to the guests, asking them to check in, yeah, you can use this placeholder to direct them immediately to the online check-in function in the system. And furthermore, you can use these placeholders, these deep links for many other purposes, like creating a welcome email once the guest has checked in, where you can, for example, direct them to the housekeeping request section in the self-service portal, again, to minimize any potential contact between staff and your guests. So this is one of the functions that we have implemented with the self-service portal, deep links. Now, another very important feature that we've added is here in our self-service portal. So we have the online check-in directly from here. So if you use the deep links or just the self-service portal, the guests will have the option to do their online check-in from here. Now, in regards to settings, the only thing that you need to do is you go to your account, into the self-service settings, and you select your virtual kiosk here so that this function can be enabled. So this will allow the guests to basically click on the online check-in and start the procedure of the check-in. Complete registration cards, provide credit card details, make payments if necessary, and so on. So there are plenty of various functions that the guests can do while they're checking in online. Now, another piece of the settings that we have here is, again, this is connected to our online check-in and virtual kiosk add-on, is here you have plenty of new options. For those of you who've already used it, you'll notice that there are several new functions like requesting credit card during the check-in. So if the guest has booked, let's say from Expedia, and you have a virtual card on file, when the guests are checking in, the system will ask the guests to provide their credit card details in case you want to use it for a security deposit or for anything else. Furthermore, we have also implemented the pay at check-in function. So if the guest has a balance on their bill, when they're checking in, they'll need to settle the bill. Now, one thing very important with the online check-in is that if the guest does check in online, this does not mean that the status of the reservation will be changed to checked in. So this is one of the other features that we've implemented. Now, obviously, guests are checking in online, and you need to know who has done so, or it's going to be beneficial for you to know who has done so. So we have done two things in that line. First of all, we've created the to-dos. So anytime a guest checks in online, you immediately receive a to-do here with, of course, the link to the respective reservation. Now, one thing to bear in mind is that we have created a new to-do channel, online check-in. So please make sure that you enable that to-do channel for the relevant staff or the relevant users so that they can keep track. And as you can see here in the reservation, now it states that the guest has checked in online, but the status of the reservation still stays expected. So what that means is that when the guest physically arrives at the property and goes to their room, someone from your staff needs to make sure to check in the reservation from here. Now, furthermore, what we have also included is on the arrivals list, as we saw in the booking, we have indicators that the guest has checked in online. So this icon here now indicates to us that the guest has checked in online, and we know that. So basically now we can also allocate the room, for example, and check in the reservation in the system as well. So these features, as you can see, improve communications with your guests, improve what options the guest can do from the self-service portal, and obviously check in online together with paying bills, providing a credit card or another credit card, because that is also something that the guest can do to decide to provide you another credit card to use. So with this, we strongly believe that your operations will be it will be beneficial for your operations. And furthermore, you'll be able to either comply with local regulations in regards to the hospitality, but also you'll be able to comply with the demands by the guests, which has obviously increased dramatically for self-services and online check-in. So yeah, if you find this interesting and if you find this to be very beneficial for your property, and if you don't have the online check-in yet, please make sure to contact our sales team or your sales rep so that we can get that going for your account as well. So yeah, Oli, back to you.
Thank you so much, Elia, and very nicely said. So, like I also emphasized, self-service doesn't mean lack of service. It's more about giving the guest the flexibility and let him decide when he wants to interact actually with the staff member. Moving forward in the agenda, the next topic we'll be showcasing today is the aspect about the room features. So this was a long waited for feature. We do know that several clients and partners have been requesting this, so we're very thrilled to have finally released it. And also here, our approach is to kind of personalize this guest experience and react to their requests. So we can also just go back and define it as being the kind of attribute-based shopping or attribute selling, booking, depending on the region, how the terminology is used. And this is, of course, something that the airline industry has been doing for years. And thankfully, a hotel room has a lot more features and amenities than a single airline seat, which would, I think, rather only be extra leg room or exit seat, well, in economy class at least. So this is also for you as a property to also evaluate what features you actually want to officially showcase, also when it comes to the room allocation. So it's about defining what the guests are actually willing to pay and what should be advertised. Because at the end of the day, if you have too many features, amenities, and attributes all listed for one of your rooms, it could kind of lead to a choice paralysis, which will just conclude to the guest maybe stopping the whole booking process and not continuing due to insecurity, or like in my case, if I have too much to choose from, I just cannot make a decision, and it gets pretty frustrating. So also here, it's a long waited for feature, which is finally here, and I will gladly pass over to my colleague Dragomir, who will give you a brief introduction of how this functionality works.
So, thank you, Oli, for this brief introduction to the room features. The room features in Kiosk PMS are very easy to set up. We will just go under the settings and come into the room features here. So as you see, we have already added some room features. So they are ground floor, close to the elevator, twin beds available, quiet rooms, balconies, sea views, and so on and so on. Basically something that you want to add the rooms that is a willingness to pay. So let's imagine the following scenario. We receive a booking through the OTAs where we have a special request for the guests to, let's say, have a higher floor room or a quiet room or a lower floor room. So what we can do is we can come into the booking and, let's say, edit the room to have a ground floor and to be a quiet room. So once we hit save here, the room features will be added onto the booking. Now this plays a role whenever you're allocating the rooms. So when we decide to allocate the room, we get the room features, or rather the rooms that have the relevant room features come up on top of the list. Aside from that, I think that Elia can share some of his experience when working with hotels that offer a lot of room features.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, this is obviously beneficial for the guests and so on, but also beneficial very much for the staff. I have been working on front desk or have been involved in front desk operations for quite some time. And one of the most annoying things in that job was having to remember what each room has as a feature. Is it a high floor, a low floor? Does it have a balcony or not? And so on. So now with this tool, your staff, your receptionists or front desk managers will have a much easier time into allocating this and not having to remember or having to write the features down somewhere and then just scroll and look for the best room to use. So now the system will help you directly into sorting that and will save everybody a lot of time.
Yeah, thank you, Eli, on that elaboration. So I think that's all on the room features. So I guess we give the word back to Oli.
Great. Thank you so much, Dragomir and Ilya, for sharing your experiences. Yes, I can also relate to that coming from the hospitality industry with the reception. It was when I was working for Hilton, even with 484 rooms and 7 different room types, it can get quite a lot. So moving forward in our agenda, the next new functionality, and this is something I personally love as I do come from the revenue management side, is the whole new hurdle rate and price control. So I kind of tend to compare it with the so-called WACC, so this weighted average cost of capital. Not necessarily the terminology we tend to use in the hospitality industry, but nevertheless, the general idea is that you as a hotel need a minimum return which you need to earn based on your existing asset. So here it's about defining the benchmark and your cutoff rate and regulating your prices. So at the end of the day, we have like the market supply and the market demand. And the idea is that these two curves have to intersect at a certain point to give you basically the break even and giving you the ultimate control of your pricing. So if you see, for example, that you need to earn a specific minimum amount, this is exactly what you can define in the system so that it automatically makes sure that it's either a stop for sale or that the minimum price is maintained and it doesn't go lower. So I'm very, very excited about this new hurdle rates feature as our approach and idea is, of course, to give you hoteliers the possibility to work with an enhanced rates management tool without necessarily needing the support of a revenue management provider. This, of course, depends on your needs, but we do have a very good tool in place, and I will hand over to my colleague who will gladly showcase how this functionality works.
Thank you, Oli. So the hurdle rates are actually quite simple and user-friendly to create. So essentially what we need to do is go into our rate plan section, and as a best practice, we do recommend to just create a new rate plan, which you can call hurdle rates, essentially. And within that rate plan, you'll be able to create your hurdle rates. Now, bear in mind that the hurdle rates can only be standard rates when creating them. So this is something to bear in mind. Derived or occupancy adaptable will not be recognized. So what do? We create a standard rate. Since this rate is not going to be something that you publish or that you sell, you do not need to apply any restrictions to it. You do not need to set up city tax settings and so on. The only thing that you need is to set your hurdle price, basically the lowest price that you'll be selling specific rates. So here we have our hurdle rate, and I have set $100 to it. Now, the next step that we need to do is now go into our actual rates that we are selling. OTA rates, website rates, direct rates, company rates, all your rates which you want to control using the hurdle. And basically, the only thing we need to do is we need to edit our reservation, and you will see the new 2 fields here, hurdle rate and hurdle rate mode. So basically, what do? We select our hurdle rate here, and we select the mode. So basically, what will the system do? So in this case, I will set a stop for sale. So what will happen if the price in our direct non-refundable room-only rate goes under $100, either due to derivations or to automatic revenue management and so on? If the price goes under the $100, the system will automatically stop the rate for that day or that period for sale. The other option that that you can use is actually use the minimum price, which in the same case will actually bring back the price to $100. So in order to showcase this for you, I'll set up a stop for sale here, and I will just open this rate. So we see here now essentially a price of $190. So let's say that here we will set a lower price, and now you see that the price has went down to $50. So because of the hurdle, you see now that automatically that day for this rate is stopped for sale. So you do not need to track, and so on. The system will do that for you. In the other mode that we have, using the minimum price, we'll see that now automatically the system brought it back to $100. So again, either due to automatic revenue management, either due to possibly some sort of a mistake, or just due to a lot of derivations, your prices go very low, the system will either stop or bring back the price to the hurdle indicator. Now, in our example here, we have used just one hurdle rate. So essentially, I have decided that $100 will be my absolute minimum. Doesn't matter, is it going to be, doesn't matter the room type, doesn't matter the channel on which I'm selling, and so on. However, if your price strategy and your price structure allows you to have different lowest prices, let's say based on the room type or based on the channel on which you're selling, you are free to create as many hurdle rates as possible with various and different hurdle prices. So let's say in this case, I say that $100 will be my minimum for the double room type. However, for my apartment would be $150. So what I will do is I will just create another hurdle rate, and that hurdle rate I will attach to my rates for the apartment. While this one I will attach only to my rates for the double room. So you can use many different hurdle rates and attach them to rates for different room types or rates for the different channels. Now, another option that we have implemented, another feature that we have implemented has to do with what we call the price control. And the price control is set up from here in the tax settings in Clock PMS. And you'll notice it at the very bottom of this section, minimum allowed price and maximum allowed price. So basically you can set a minimum allowed price and a maximum allowed price, of course, in a respective currency, which will then basically will not allow prices in all of your rates to be lower or higher than what you have set. So this would again be very helpful if you have if you're using a lot of daily prices, a lot of automated revenue management, or just if you by accident, instead of writing $80, you write $8 in a rate, the system will block you from doing that, and it will not allow you to set the price under $50. So it will give you a warning. So this is another security measure and making life for all of you revenue managers, sales managers, and so on to feel more secure when setting up prices and doing your price management. So hopefully this would be useful for all of you. Yeah, I'll bring it back to Oli.
Thank you so much, Elia, for the very detailed explanation. Yeah, that just makes my revenue heart very, very happy. And I also do hope that all of you will enjoy this new feature. And of course, feel free to contact us anytime if there are any questions do arise after this webinar even. So, and if we move on forward in our agenda, another really great feature which we have just implemented, and also here, yes, this are a lot of suggestions. A lot of our clients were waiting for this. So this also in terms of your whole revenue forecasting, in terms of occupancy and the revenue, we have a tool or a new report which will basically empower you to do your effective yielding across your various channels. So it's also about understanding the cash and credit flow from each of your different segments. So knowing if you, for example, see that your corporate groups are actually pushing more reservations at the moment than your transient segment, and knowing how the corporate segment sometimes works, that payments are usually delayed or expected on a later date with their accounts receivable. This kind of reporting tool will give you a very good indication of where you might need to pursue some kind of an effective execution of marketing strategies and also initiatives based on segments that you have implemented in your PMS solution. So it's about creating your customized promotions and having a very, very effective and detailed overview of the business on the books for your transient and also your group bookings. And here I will gladly pass over to my colleague Dragomir, who will showcase how this new reporting feature works.
So hello again from me. This occupancy report is aiming to forecast your revenue, not only from rooms or from actual charges, but also including blocks, and thus utilizing a full forecast on what you are going to have on the books. Now, the way the report works is we have an effective period. So this would be the period that I'm interested in. Then I can select, of course, my currency. We have the value types, and we have the snapshot date. So what the report does is every day when the revenue date changes, it takes a snapshot of how your forecasts were looking. So let's say that we take a snapshot on the 1st of July. So we take a look at how our revenue forecastings were for this period on the 1st of July. So since this report is brand new, the first snapshot date is only the 30th of June, 2020. So on the left-hand side, we can see all the dates for the periods, and we can see the occupancy forecast as it was on the 1st of July. So you see it was pretty grim, our hotel being empty and all that. This is then transferred to the current occupancy forecast, whereas this shows us how we are looking at today with our bookings and respectively our guaranteed blocks and our optional blocks. Then we have our revenue forecasts, which again show revenue from bookings, revenue from blocks, and revenue from optional blocks. And then we have our current revenue forecasts, again, from bookings, from blocks, and from optional blocks. Now, the reason the way to add in the blocks in your revenue is when you attach rates to them, and then they will show up in your revenue forecast report. This way, you can make your price strategies and evaluate on how you are moving with the booking base and all these important parameters that are used to define your prices at the end of the day. This is why we have also incorporated the average daily rate here. So this parameter will help you to decide how you need to modify your price if that is necessary. So back to you on this, Ollie.
Thank you so much, Dragomir, for showcasing this new functionality. It's a very nice tool to have, and do test it out and let us know how you find it. Please share your feedback. As you know, we always strive to improve ourselves and our functionalities, and that can only be done with your feedback. So moving forward to just the last part, these are just two, I would say minor, but probably just optimizations, I would say, for your convenience and just to kind of improve the general workflow for your staff members. We have implemented a new event search function. So we have made a bit more, offering more filter criteria. And of course, as you know, our search bars all kind of work similar to like the Google search bar, so that you can just type in individual letters, names, and the system will also recognize everything that falls into that parameter. So here we have just made a more fine, let's say, or given the overview, the event search overview, like a facelift, so it's easier to access those specific events that you're looking for. And another improvement is that we have implemented the default company folios, which can be implemented and defined in your company profiles, especially when you're working with accounts receivable that companies are requesting for invoices on a monthly basis for their staff members that were accommodated in the hotel. This is a very nice feature, so that you have a default company folio always available when transferring the charges, irrespective if you're doing the automated transfer of charges or not. So here I will gladly pass to my colleague Elia, who will also just introduce these two new improvements.
Thanks, Oli. So as with every single update that we do to the system, we also like to introduce some quality of life improvements, as I like to call them, basically making your life a little bit easier and easier to work with the system and with the various functions. Now, one of the main improvements that we did is with the search, as Oli mentioned, the event search. So now, as you can see, we have much more filters that you can use for your events. And more importantly, we also have very quick buttons which you can use. So you can search for all your checked-in events, events that are expected today or in the next week, or events that were created in the last 3 days, or you can just use all these other filters here, search by name, etc. So you have much more flexibility in searching for events. Beforehand, it was basically just names of the event or a period. But now, as you can see, we have added a lot of other search filters that you can use when operating with your events. We know that a lot of you are using the events. So hopefully this will make your work a little bit easier with them. Now, the other function that we have implemented, or the other quality of life improvement that we've implemented, is the default company folio. Now, this is useful in the cases where you use the auto transfer function. So when you create a reservation, you have that button where you can essentially automatically transfer the charges either to the company or to the agent. So until now, that automatic transfer or that automatic routing happened to the firstly open folio in the company profile. However, now with the new implementation that we did is you can select a default folio for each company profile. So you can do that by opening the company profile and scroll down to the default folio section, click on edit, and then again scroll down until you find the default folio. And from here, you can select the default folio, which will be used when you're doing the auto transfers to the system. But also when you're doing manual transfers, the default folio will be offered on the top of the list. If you have a lot of folios in the company, the default one will be at the very top of the list, making it easier to find it and obviously do the transfer. So this will drastically improve your work with auto transfer or with transferring to company profiles, but it is also a preparation for some more exciting improvements connected to the routing, which you can keep an eye on in our future updates. So yeah, this is about these two functions that we've implemented. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Elia, for explaining it once again. You guys are really great at this. So once again, very thrilled to have you here to help me showcase this all to our partners and clients. So moving forward to the agenda, that was actually the last topic that we wanted to showcase today in regards to the product features we released in May and June. And we will gladly take any questions you have. And I do see and also hear, thank you, audience, ladies and gentlemen, for interacting and asking your relevant questions. I do have a very good question here from Francette. I hope I pronounced it correctly. My apologies if not. So the question is pertaining blocks. The revenue from blocks will only reflect once a rooming list is picked up, right? How can we work around the non-picked up blocks in order to view obtained revenue on the forecast for the blocks? Drago and Elia, if you would like to answer the question for Francette.
Yeah, of course. So Francette, thank you for sending this question. So actually now with the new report, basically you'll be able to see the revenue from blocks that have not been actually picked up, so not converted into actual bookings. So regardless if they're optional blocks or actual blocks, as long as they have a rate attached to them, basically that will go into that new report that we have. I know that this was something that you were asking about and you're very interested about in the last couple of months. So yeah, I'm glad that we've added it and that you'll be able to make use of it.
Great. Thank you for your positive feedback, Francette, and I'm glad that Elia was able to answer your question to the full extent. Thank you. So if you have any more questions, do feel free to ask her at this moment, or of course you might need some time to just digest the webinar, read through the product updates and test around with the functionalities, which is why you can of course always contact us at a later stage concerning any of these product features. We did have a few questions concerning other functionalities, like I mentioned at the beginning. not concerning any of the features we introduced today, we do kindly ask you to contact us separately via the support portal or of course via email, and we will gladly get in touch and assist to the full extent. We are definitely going to, we are recording the webinars, so we will most definitely provide the link. And since it's the first product feature we have actually initiated, all the attendees, you will actually receive a short survey afterwards, just asking for feedback. It'll only take about 30 seconds. And it'll really help us just to, you know, to be able to understand if we're going in the right direction, if this is what you're looking for as our partners and clients, if there are any topics you feel would also be very useful, just so that we get an overall feedback, because this is something we do tend to do on a long-term basis. As I always say, if you want to go far, you go together. If you want to go fast, that's when you go alone. So if there are no other questions at this moment, wait, there is just one more that came up. Just a question from Jiraj. So thank you very much. Concerning the rates, what is the difference between the code and the tag? Ilya and Drago, I'll gladly hand that over to you.
Okay, so with the current existing functionality, the rate tags you use to tag the rates so that you can search for them more easily. Something like room only, 2 people, 1 person, and so on. Whereas now you can use the tags to just identify if they are, well, you can use the tags for both the purposes. You can either use them to identify if they're room only, if they're non-refundable, and so on, and if they are also a company rate. So, Ilya, you would like to add something on this?
Well, no, not really. I mean, with the code, I'm not sure if you're referring to the access code or to the tag. If you're referring to the access code, that is what the company will be using on the web reservation system to find their the rates that are assigned to that company. So yeah, I think that is all that I can add.
Okay.
So great, thank you guys for taking over and answering the question. Another one just came in from Richard. So Richard, thank you much for your interaction and for asking your question. I will just go ahead and read it for the whole audience also to hear. How can I see turnover in say the next month that is paid and bookings unpaid? We have moved a lot of paid bookings from lockdown. We need to know what real cash will be coming in during August, for example.
So I think here the guest ledger report will be most useful. However, Richard, I think it would be best if you send this question to our support portal so that we can answer that more into detail. And if you can send us, for example, some dates and so on, so that we can have an example to work with, and we can answer you via email or via the support portal.
Thank you so much, Ilya. So it looks like, wow, guys, we're in time even.
Only just to stop you there, because there was one interesting question by Maria earlier, which we already answered in the chat, in the Q&A section. However, it's quite interesting, and I'm not sure if everybody's seeing that question. It has to do with restaurant menu, loading the restaurant menu into the self-service portal. So there is that option which we have, which Dragomir also answered to Maria. We do have the e-menu with our clock POS, our restaurant system. So this is also something that would be very beneficial in regards to contactless operations, where the guest can access your the menu directly from the self-service portal and order room service. So if you're interested into that function as well, or that feature, please feel free to contact our sales team or your sales rep for pricing and a demo of how that works. But it would be very beneficial in the current situation with trying to go a little bit or a lot contactless and so on.
Thank you so much, Ilya. And Olivier, thank you also for asking regarding the webinar recording. We will provide this, of course, in due course when we have completed everything and all the event surveys, the feedback surveys have gone out. So moving forward. So Maria, also here, just regarding the self-service portal, I'm not sure, but is there an option for the client to also report any issues in the room? So this is more going into the direct communication with the hotel. Ilya or Dragomir, please feel free to elaborate the possibilities or grounds we have concerning this question.
Well, yeah, there is that option from the self-service portal, which is basically the housekeeping requests which you can implement. And you can set in the self-service portal settings various housekeeping requests, like an extra pillow, extra blanket, etc., restock amenities and so on. But also there is an open field where the guests can write some requests by themselves, a free request, which can potentially be used for that purpose. And with the option to change or translate the labels of the various buttons, you can indicate that button to say, for example, issue housekeeping request or report an issue. So this way the guests will know exactly where to click on the self-service portal, and they'll be taken there to either issue a housekeeping request from the list that you already have created, or just use the blank box where they can write a free text and report, for example, some sort of an issue that they have. So hopefully this answers your question, Maria.
Thank you so much, Elia. Thank you again, Maria, for being so kind and open to ask all the questions you have. Okay, so I guess we are coming to an end. We do have a few more minutes, so very proud of us guys that we, are in the 1 hour that we planned. And to all you ladies and gentlemen, partners, clients, or prospects, thank you so much for joining today, for being part of our very first product webinar. We do hope that we were able to give you a better insight of the new functionalities, what benefits you can pull from these, and how they actually work in our system. And like I mentioned, we will, of course, our goal is to implement webinars on a regular occasion, as it is essential that, of course, you as our clients and also partners know in what direction we're going and what features are being released and how you can use these to the full extent. So like I said, please stay tuned, check out in the PMS, you'll always receive the information concerning upcoming webinars. And like I said, we would really, really appreciate if you take the time to just provide us with your feedback. Great, so that's a huge thank you from my side from Munich. And I wish all of you a wonderful afternoon, well, here in Europe, and a great start into the day if you're tuned in from the States. And thank you so much for all your attention today.
I see, just to Chantal, yes, you will receive a recording on the webinar, a link to the recording, but also feel free to follow us on LinkedIn, where we'll be posting the content, or on our YouTube channel, where also the webinar or various clips of the webinar will be posted. So follow our social media for more news and content, either based on the webinars that we do or just blog posts or various articles by us.
And Jiraj, if I can just, regarding I'm very happy that you hope we'll do this for every update. Also here, just to emphasize it and give you the note, of course, this will mostly only reflect bigger, very relevant updates. Sometimes we also do minor update releases with fixes, which is kind of self-explanatory. So we will, of course, always look to do a combined webinar with the most important relevant features, which play a very significant role. So I thank you for your understanding in that sense.
And there are actually very exciting improvements coming up. So yes, we are going to have such webinars in the near future. Yes, so keep an eye on our social media or in the PMS and make sure you register for the next webinar.
Yes, and do connect with us, a company, or with us personally on LinkedIn. We would find a great pleasure in networking with you there as well. Great.
Great. Well, thanks to everyone. And we wish you a lovely day forward.
Thank you, everyone, again, and all take care, stay safe and healthy.